to the May meeting of the Waitakere Licensing Trust. To have everybody, acting CEO Matt Williams, and apologies from our CFO who's had a family bereavement. So we have first, there's no apologies, and if someone would move to confirm the minutes of April the 29th Waitakere Licensing Trust meeting.
Can we do a matters arising from those minutes?
No, well, not at the moment, because I'm actually moving to a true and correct record first.
Yeah, okay.
I'll move that way.
Thank you, Warren.
Yeah.
And is someone second, Lynette?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour of that true and correct record?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary, carried. And you had a matters arising are usually in the they're in our actions there, but is there something else that isn't in the actions or isn't in the body of the meeting, Andrew?
Yeah, it's just basically just wanted to clarify a comment that was made and a comment that was made about the personal political individual aspirations, or some comment in the minutes about that. And I just wanted to clarify to the board, because I think my comments may have been misinterpreted. And I just wanted to say that my actual comments of what I said was that I believe as many votes as possible should be made within the public meeting. So obviously allowing for the commercial sensitivities, that's just my view. And I feel that it would actually aid transparency and democracy, so that if all board members, if their votes are seen by the public, it wasn't just an individual thing, it was just if they were seen by the public, and then therefore they'll be able to make an informed and educated vote in the next local election. And that was my point. So it's not actually an individual thing.
Can I just understand, is it something that is in the minutes that you're disputing was written incorrectly?
No, just my comments may have been misunderstood, and that's what I just want to clarify.
Okay, well the thing is that this is the minutes. It's yeah. We
Okay,
usually
so
don't. Yeah. If you think, hang on a minute. If you think that we've written it incorrectly, because if you feel that it was misconstrued, then we've just voted that's a true and correct record. So usually you would bring that up then about the true and correct record to say, I don't think this reflects it. So I'm happy to go back if you want the wording changed, so that if you feel that what you've said is reflected more accurately and expresses the intent of what you wanted to say. That's what I'm trying to say to you. Sure. If you want that changed, well, we've already voted for it. But if with the agreement of everybody, if we go back to do that, and what would you like it to be?
Just pretty much what I said. That it's.
Can you please tell me which page it's on?
Oh, sure. If you give me a couple of minutes.
It's on page 10 of the pack.
Yes. Okay. Page 10 of the pack. I've got the first. Well, on page 10 of the public meeting.
There was no voting there.
No, there's nothing there. I don't see. Are
Are
we looking at the right thing? I'm not sure.
Stand by.
I think
Oh, you're talking it. No, well, it's actually, if you look at the PDF, it's page 12, or it's page 3 of the minutes. So it says in there, though it would have been pretty clear for anybody listening, because you said whatever you said. So there'd be no, where are we?
Yeah, but not everyone's going to watch the meeting, so I just like it noted in the documentation, Linda.
So
What did you want noted?
So it's what it says now for the public to listen. It says AF noted he supports consideration being given to how best to provide feedback to the public to aid transparency. He also believes it's important for views and beliefs of elected members to be publicly known. I mean, that seems very clear. You're saying, I mean, yours, does that not reflect it? It seems to me it's pretty clear.
Yeah, what page is that on, Linda?
It's on
Page 12 or page 3 of the page 12 of them.
If you've downloaded, if you're on the board pack, it's page 12, or the page 3 of the actual minutes. Okay. Partway down, And also the thing is, you can't change what you said now. You can only say, I didn't say that, I said something else. So
Yeah,
are you saying you didn't? Are you saying you didn't say that, or are you saying now you want to expand on it?
What I'm saying is I just wanted to expand on it, so I wanted to.
Okay, so you can't really do that if you didn't say that in the meeting, because what the minutes are is
All right.
a record of what actually happened.
Okay, so Chair, could you advise me where would be the best suitable location to address my comments then in the meeting, just to clarify situations like this?
Well, I think you've said it now, but the thing is, it doesn't change the minutes. You've said it, so it's fine, and it's recorded.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll leave the minutes as they are, because that is what you said, and you can't change what you said unless it was incorrect. So just trying to keep the process right. Otherwise, we'd all be saying I didn't say that and changing it.
No,
so,
nobody didn't say anything. I just want to make sure that the board have a firm understanding of my intentions. So potentially,
yeah, but that's okay. I absolutely get what you're saying, but that's not the purpose of adopting the minutes as a true and correct record. Because basically, you've discussed that, and we don't keep going back to the same issue over and over. And standing orders, that's sort of
I'll make my view clear in the future.
Yeah. Well, you're very clear. You've been very clear. All right, I'm going to move on. So, right. Is there any conflicts of interest that anybody has in the meeting today, or any changes to the interest register, any changes of position, etc.? If you do, please pass them on to Lee Clark. All right. There's no correspondence. Matters for information 2.6, which is the trusts, is just to show that we worked on the licensing trust submission to the Justice and Electoral Committee. We worked on that together, and then I went away and made some changes, and then I sent that out to everybody, and I think I got one reply, so I had no strong objections, so I sent it. So that was received by the Justice and Electoral Committee, which are now considering all of the submissions. So that's just to note that that's there. Note that we've noted that that's been sent. And then next, monthly report from our acting CEO, Matt Williams. So I'll hand over to you, Matt.
Thank you very much, and hello to everyone. Yeah, I guess for like a lot of businesses around New Zealand, a lot of organisations around New Zealand, April was a very tough month. Obviously, operationally, we needed to adapt. We needed to change our processes, and we needed to do things very differently to keep our teams safe, and obviously to keep our customers safe. We were able to do a few sort of new things during that space. We were able to implement a new click and collect and a new click and deliver system, which has been working very, very well, and we're getting some great feedback from our customers. Obviously, a tough month, not just operationally, but financially as well. And I think particularly with only having a certain number of stores operating for a certain number of hours, and certainly with the absence of some products being able to be sold, i.e. sort of spirits and RTDs, etc., organisation took a reasonable sort of hit financially in terms of sales and revenue, but also we were impacted by increased costs around things like provision of personal protective equipment, but also additional security costs and the like. I guess as we're moving down from level 3 to level 2, we've certainly seen some relief. And what does that look like? From a retail perspective, we've got all of our stores back trading again, and they're back trading 7 days a week. We continue to run with that with very similar health and safety protocols in place, albeit that we are allowed either 1, 2 or 3 customers into stores, depending on the size of the stores. And they seem to be, again, very well received and be operating very well. even in the sort of the pre-COVID world, we had been discussing the reduction in some store hours in terms of that's just around, I guess, normal business operations and trying to optimize the way that we do things. And so we have seen some reduction in hours in some of our stores. But in the main, I think that's being received very well. We certainly haven't seen any negative commentary around that. From a hospitality perspective, a few weeks ago, we were able to operate a number of our venues. They were typically the ones that were more, I suppose, restaurant in style, the seated ones. We were following and continue to follow government guidelines around health and safety protocols, and they seem to be working exceptionally well. I note that in one of our establishments, the Hangar, we had 3 visits by the police over the weekend, and they were very, very pleased with the way that we were managing our operations as well. And as of last week, we're obviously able to extend the opening of our venues to include our bars. So at this stage, we've got all of our venues open, bar one. That one sits within Portage. And I guess like our retail stores, as I guess we try and settle into a new normal in terms of hospitality, we have reduced our trading hours. I guess most importantly, or one of the certainly most important things for us is around our team. And certainly in light of a lot of the news which I'm hearing around companies, making people redundant, I guess I'm very proud and pleased to say from a trust perspective that we have continued to pay people through this period. And I think certainly we've seen, I suppose, the fact that we have done that has paid, it's gotten us a huge amount of good feedback and goodwill from our team members. Obviously, with sales being impacted very significantly in April, as of Monday, we did apply for the government wage subsidy, both for Waitakere and also for Portage as well. So our key aim is to retain our team members' earnings as close to what they were traditionally earning as possible, and we've been able to do that through having people work across retail and hospitality. So trying to provide hours in retail where we have some vacancies by redeploying some of our hospitality people either on I suppose a part-time basis, or for a few team members permanently transferring them as well. So as we move forward with the wage subsidy application going through, I haven't yet had a notification that has been approved. What we will be looking to do is certainly aiming at a bare minimum to maintain 80% of our team members' earnings, with the idea of supporting them to get up to their normal earnings through working additional hours in other parts of the business, or if they choose to take annual leave. So that's very much a watching brief. I think certainly the hospitality space is one which I think will take a lot longer to settle than retail will. I guess in sort of other matters there, Alan Pollard, our new CEO, starts with the Trust next week. A very full induction program planned for Alan, and he's spent the last 4 to 6 weeks getting his head across our business. And I think he'll be hitting the ground running. Some other highlights, I think the sponsorship or the funding provided to Fair Food and Vision West has been a real highlight. I was personally out there today out at Vision West, have seen the great work that they've been doing in the pre-COVID world, supporting 350 families and now supporting 1,100 families per week. And the need is very real out there if people weren't already aware of it. And I suppose just from a negative note, from a health and safety perspective, we did have an incident at Westgate where we had 2 customers who were refused service. They departed. They refused service because they weren't able to provide ID showing their age. Upon driving out, they waved a gun at our team members and at the security guard. But pleasingly, we had some of the security footage available, and they were arrested. So, all in all, I think been a tough month in April. As we move into May and beyond, and certainly as I think as the country, hopefully stays at level 2 and gets a bit of a roadmap down to level 1, I think certainly our retail business will settle into a new normal. I think our opportunity there is to optimise it around, trading hours and the like. I think hospitality, not just for the trusts, but right across New Zealand, is very much a watching brief. I think there's probably still a lot of dust to settle, and we'll certainly be working our way very, very hard to make sure that we adapt our offer from a hospitality perspective to suit what customers are demanding. And from a team member perspective, our aim is to come out of this with as much velocity as is possible. And so we'll be looking to certainly retain as many of our team members as is possible, again, by, redeploying them into other parts of the business, which is, I guess, having a diversified business is a real plus for us at this stage. So, yeah. Sorry, Linda, you're just on mute there. Sorry, Linda, you're on mute.
There we go. We've got it sorted. Warren.
Yeah, congratulations on what you've been able to do with the staff, and particularly being able to pick up the subsidy that we've agreed to with the decrease in the business. You just look at Invercargill Licensing Trust, they just dismissed 150 staff. So you can see the benefits that we've had with running the business the way you have, and I just congratulate you.
Yeah, I think Invercargill may have been going through a process of, it might be 89. I'll need to be clarified on that, but a lot of their business is obviously focus on hospitality and particularly the hotel. So my understanding is, and I'll maybe corrected on this, but it might the lion's share of those people may be coming from hospitality and specifically their hotel. But no, I appreciate the comments, Warren.
Yeah, very good.
I just wanted to just also will add that we've the Trust's management have also helped the whānau with space for storing their food, which thanks Brooke received an email and passed that on, and it's been wonderful to be able to use some of our space to help another organisation, particularly when we highlighted as elected members, both Portage and Waitakere, that food security was one of the most important things during this time, where people couldn't work or lost their jobs or were right down to 80 to 50% of what they'd earned. They could pay the rent, but they couldn't buy food. So I think we can feel very pleased that we picked something we thought was really important, and our management have picked it up and run with it. So thank you, Matt and Marie and Amanda.
Yeah, just a point I would, in talking to the team at Vision West today, and probably not a lot of new news for some of you, but one of the things they were saying was that the people requiring their services, they're not from a particular walk of life. This COVID-19 is impacting everybody, and it's not necessarily those people who may be less well off. There's people coming from all sorts of backgrounds and. So, and again, I'll go back to the point I made that if we didn't think the need is there, it is absolutely there.
Oh, sorry, Mark.
Thank you.
I just wanted to acknowledge the support of the West Auckland working together and the publications there, and it was a very speedy response, and I think it's going to be incredibly useful pieces of information to get out there. So really appreciate what the team did and coming into swinging behind that as well.
Great.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions? Would somebody like to move the receipt of the monthly monitoring report? Warren, is there a seconder? Brooke. All those in favour? If we unmute, people need to hear it because
Aye.
right. And is anyone against?
No.
No. Okay.
We're still eyeing.
Oh, aye. All right. It is a bit tricky, isn't it? Getting your hand to unmute and say yes or no at the same time. So that's adopted. Thank you. Right. So we've got 2020 meeting dates next. They're just there, ready to see for your information. But they're in there every month. Then we have, is there any general business before I move to public forum? No. Actually, I've done it the wrong way, but no one's got any general business, but I'll go back to public forum. So just under our standing orders, we have public forum, and I just want to outline it because I think there was some confusion last month when I listened to the recording and some of the comments that people made, which were rather unwarranted because I was actually just trying to follow standing orders. Public forum is for us to hear from the public. It's not about us talking and having our opinion. We have that opportunity in our meetings. It's about hearing from the public and responding and understanding orders. We say that we will get the answers back to people. If we can't have the answers in the meeting, we will get the answers back to the individual who's either come to the meeting or sent an email, and so we'll do that. Unfortunately, last month we do have the answers. They will go up with the minutes that we've just passed earlier in this meeting, but unfortunately we didn't quite get system right to get those back individually to people, but they will be going back in the next few days, and the meetings that have come, the minutes that have the questions that have come for this month, that will also happen. So we apologise to those people that didn't get those. They have been worked out and they will be up on the website for everybody to see once we post the minutes of this meeting. So what I've done, there were actually about 20 something questions, but because it's half an hour for public forum, what I've done is we've grouped together the themes of most of the questions to give people listening a sense of what people are asking and what the general answers are. However, the individuals' answers, as I said, will go out to people and they will be on the website after the next meeting, because there's not really another mechanism at the moment, and they'll go with the next month's minutes. So I'm just going to kind of go through them, and you would have received a spreadsheet of those questions this afternoon because they only come in sort of by Thursday. And I apologise, they were in Excel again, which was, I understand, is very tricky to read, but they won't go up on the website like that. And
right, if you stand on your head.
Yes, it's tricky. So, all right, so I'm just going to kind of go through if you'll bear with. So, a number of questions asked about the availability of, quote, decent venues in West Auckland. We are proud of our venues and our team members who work in them. Our venues average 4 stars on Google reviews, and there are many people who keep coming back to enjoy our venues. Additionally, there are 100 licensed venues in West Auckland that are not owned by the Trust and you can enjoy a drink or meal at. So that's the general answer to that one. The next one was, several people asked why there hasn't been a referendum in recent years. We understand that not everyone agrees with the Trust model. Elected members for both trusts are elected every 3 years to represent their community. So that's the vote for your elected representatives. The other opportunity is a poll, and that requires 15% of electors in each licensing trust area. So any licensing trust area can have a referendum if a poll is successful. That means you have to get 15% of registered electors that live in the trust area, and that just hasn't happened. So it hasn't been presented as yet. So that's why there hasn't been another referendum. The next question was, what lobbying had been done for the trust during level 4, and my understanding is they'd say, did we approach the government to get special exemption for our shops? And no, no correspondence was had with the government to advocate for the trust during level 4. And from my recollection, there wasn't even enough time. It was announced one day, and within about 36 hours, we had notification that we were considered essential, and we hadn't asked anybody. So, but there could have been another licensing trust like Invercargill who could have. We don't know that. That is their business. But we had no conversations with anybody in any ministry at all or government. The next one was question around a financial statement and then not being transparent, and that's someone's view. The independently audited financial statements for 2018-19 are available on the website in the annual report. Last year's financial statements are currently being audited and will be released later this year, and that they get released at our AGMs. So the next one was some questions over the support for the community during this time, and will $1 Million Mission continue? And another question was, why weren't masks and hand sanitizer distributed? Well, I think just earlier in our conversation, both trusts voted pretty much unanimously that what we wanted to do was look at food security, and that's where we felt we could help. And in actual fact, there were shortages for frontline health workers, and we didn't think it was appropriate that we would be grabbing those for general members of the public, especially when the advice was from the Ministry of Health that wasn't a requirement for the general public. And we didn't want to take away basically hundreds of thousands of masks out of circulation that would have been needed in the hospital. And as I said, what we wanted to do was make sure that food security, so that's where we've put $200,000, some free rent, and also $50,000 went to Waitakere Hospital to help with remote monitoring of heart patients, so they didn't have to come in and they could be looked after and get information telegraphically sent to the hospital so that they'd be okay. The next one was a question about the 3 Bucks pub, which one of the old names for Te Aratu Tavern. What is being done about it? It's unkept. The gardens are a mess, it looks run down. And yes, we're passing that on and we'll get that sorted out. And in the last couple of years, what we'd say that it actually has been refurbished, and it's been quite a successful wee pub in its own right. A lot of people, when we opened Mr. Illingsworth, still like the format of the old-fashioned pub, and we wanted to make sure that we catered for those people. And we, in our hospitality strategy and our property strategy, we will be assessing what we might do with that in the future, but we have no plans currently. There was also another question, and this is the last one that I'll address. There was a question about the code of conduct and the timing of the adoption. It basically insinuated that we adopted it quickly to muffle new board members, which is an interesting view, and I will just tell you what actually happened. So in early 2019, we adopted a standing orders. It was actually reviewed standing orders, and we reviewed them and we adopted it. And then mid-year in a public forum, we had a member of the public come along and say, had we thought about a code of conduct? So from about June onwards, we developed that code of conduct. It came back to the committee, I think in September, and unfortunately it's got September dated on it. So that needs to change. It needs to be dated October, because we sent that away and we wanted to give the new members, there were 3 new members on our board, we wanted to give them the opportunity to have a look at it. So we brought it back to the October meeting, the first meeting of the new term, with our new members, and then it was adopted then after everybody had had a chance, the new people as well, to look at that, and it was adopted. So that is the real story about that. So that's the end of the general gist of the questions. And in standing orders, it says the opportunity for members is to ask the public any clarification on their questions. And given that we don't have any public present at the moment, that's not an option. Is there any comment? Just, it's not normal, but we'll do it now, Mark.
Mine was just that I thought that in the responses with regards to the benefit to the community, I'm not sure that it is recognised the quality of employer that the trusts are, and how many of those people are local people. So actually, and being a social enterprise, part of it is looking after our workforce. And I think that during this period, I really do think that the trusts have looked very, very hard at looking after their workforce's personal safety as well as their family safety, and as well looking after them financially. So I think that just would accentuate that is a story we should be telling as well.
Thank you, Mark, and I think that should go in the response that goes up on the website into that individual. Andrew.
Just a quick one. Could I just ask, is it possible at all to have the responses submitted to the board, just to give it a quick once over before they're actually published? Because some of the questions could actually touch on governance issues, and I'm not quite sure who's answering the questions. So just it'd be nice to have the opportunity to just give it a once over from the board and just make sure all the board in its entirety is happy with the answers.
Yes, we'll do that, Andrew. We'll get the system right. And as with any new system, there's always a few glitches. So that's what we've identified. It was supposed to come back. I requested it at the last meeting to come back, and the organisation helping us with that slipped. So we'll make sure that before that comes to our next meeting to go up with the minutes, or before they go out, we get that opportunity. But given though, we want to be a bit careful that normally at a meeting we wouldn't have 7 people responding to a person answering them, because in standing orders it says if we can't answer it at the meeting, it may have to go back to management for a written response to get back to that person so we can have a fulsome response. So I just want to be a little bit wary of having 7 responses because that can be confusing. We need one consistent response, but absolutely, you're right. We'll have a look at those before they go out. So thank you for that. Are there any more? So I'd just like to move that we receive the public forum questions and that they will be responded to individually. Is someone willing to move the second that? Hand. Thank you, Penny. All those in favour? We put our microphones on. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Nobody contrary. Thank you for that. All right, so we've had general business, unless any more general business has come up since then. No, I will now move to public excluded meeting. Is there a second to resolve to exclude the public meeting under section 48(1)(a) 1 of the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act, that the public be excluded from the whole of the remainder of the proceedings of this meeting to consider agenda items relating to the matters of a commercial nature, to discuss reports and trading information strategies that are considered commercially sensitive in accordance with section 7.2H and section 7.2.1, and discuss matters that affect the conduct of affairs under the trust under section 7F2 of the Local Government Officials Information and Meetings Act 1987, the Boima. Did I have a seconder?
Yep, Lynette.
Lynette, thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
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 Aye. Contrary? Carried. Thank you. And now we'll go into public excluded.